Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Business List, your source for stories inside the party across the country and around the world. We are LP Alliance, an intercaucus coalition, rebuilding the Libertarian Party and revolutionizing the liberty movement. My name is Amanda Griffiths. I'm joined by Rose Leatherman. I'm joined by Jake Porter. I'm not joined by Kyle Davis. He's just here. Hello, everyone. How are you? Kyle, why do you pick terrible?
Because all AI is bad.
Damn.
You were having a lot of fun with AI earlier, actually.
We need to hire actual musicians. What are we doing exactly?
If only we had a wildly commercially unsuccessful parody artist on this show right now. Everyone, how are you doing?
Not terrible, all things considered.
Excellent.
Come on, camera. Do camera things.
Very good, very good. So we have a slew of LNC-related topics and LP-related topics to get to tonight. In the first place, there was an attempted LNC at-large installation. 2 vacant at-large positions remain open on the Libertarian National Committee. On Sunday evening, we thought that we were going to witness an installation in which the members of the National Committee nominated and voted for the individuals meant to represent the membership at large. If you think that's weird, so do I. At any rate, they moved to email balloting with approval voting, which means that the people who are voting get to vote in approval of a certain number of candidates. So there are a couple strategic issues to think through here. In the first place, obviously, we have the LNC that's mostly divided into a few blocks, right? There's the opposition bloc that historically opposed the Mises Caucus leadership under Angela McArdle. Then there is the Mises Caucus bloc, and then there is the ex-Mises bloc. So we know that there are some Mises and Mises-friendly candidates that have been nominated for at-large. Of course, some of the thinking is that that the opposition is unwilling to vote for any of these candidates. The difficulty is that the ex-Mises faction really kind of holds a lot of the cards here in voting for some of the less palatable candidates and being able to swing that vote unless the opposition bloc is able to back at least approval vote, a slightly more palatable Mises-nominated candidate that may be less popular than the most Mises-friendly candidate. So this is what we have to consider here. It's not as cut and dry as we'll only vote for the 2 candidates you support, although a lot of individuals on the LNC are looking at it that way. There's a little bit more of a calculus involved in which it would behoove certain members to vote for people that they might not like as much. At least that's some of the strategic thinking at play, but it can be difficult to get through to officers on the LNC. There's a lot to unpack with the LNC at-large installation. I suppose, first of all, the question should be asked, when there are vacancies in the middle of a term, how should that be dealt with?
Dueling
ideally
is the best way.
Yes, I'm thinking,
dueling.
Are we talking like pistol dueling, or are we going to go even further back and have like jousting or something?
Oh,
I would say mud wrestling. Mud wrestling is always
yeah, but
good.
we wanted to use that for like other to resolve other conflicts.
That is true. Kyle, what are you holding
a YubiKey. For those that didn't watch the Solidarity stream last night, Amanda and I had proposed the concept that voters should have YubiKeys. And by voters, we mean all members of the LP. This would mean that when you have a vacancy like this, you could open up an online voting system for LP members where every one of these YubiKeys is registered with National, and you would have to physically plug your key in to prove that is actually you. So when a vacancy happens, you could have it open for a week, just like what they're doing currently with the LNC, but every member who's following and paying attention would get a vote. This includes the LNC. This includes everybody who's watching and everyone who cares. It holds everyone a little more accountable and means that, like, if someone steps down, it's much less of a question of, well, who on the LNC is with which faction? We don't want to watch the LNC burn. We want that soap opera to go away and be replaced with one where it's member run, member powered, and all around useful for everyone.
Well, Kyle, I can vote as well. So it looks like two of us can vote from right here.
Well, to proselytize slightly more on this, the point I was making last night is that if we did the things such as like Jeff Neal has been suggesting for years now, and increased the cost of membership to $50, then the YubiKey is paid for. They go ahead, they'll put it in at National. They go ahead and add that to the password manager for National. They ship it to you. You can get a custom case on it, if it's Libertarian or whatever. And then everyone gets a YubiKey so that that's a value add. You can use that YubiKey for everything else too. So like, it's a big deal. It's a cool thing.
Right. So,
And well, I do think
you touched on an important point though. Like, going forward, should we be fighting for bylaws changes that would allow either the membership body, or at the very least the delegates, to have a say if there's a vacancy and someone else needs to be appointed because someone steps down or is removed?
Absolutely. And with regard to increasing membership dues, I am in favor of this with the provision that members should be getting more out of what they are putting into. So with greater dues should come greater power and greater responsibility, right? Right now, if the members are paying increased dues, they're not paying for any increased agency or increased enfranchisement or increased voice, right? So we want to be able to honor the members' capacity to make their voices heard. This is a good way to do it. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that this is what we talked about last night on the Solidarity stream, is a great way to allow for members past a seasoning requirement to vote for replacements or vote for vacancies. I don't see, especially when talking about something like at large, which is again a position that I would like to eliminate in favor of a 51 state and then 4-officer LNC. But as long as we have at large, it's supposed to represent the membership at large. It seems completely backwards to then have the officers of the LNC deciding who gets to represent the members at large, which again, you shouldn't be having that. The representative, the thing being represented should be the platform, the principles, not the members. They should represent themselves.
Right. It's like you have the same issue when it comes to officer removals. It makes it way too easy to remove someone who's a minority voice on the LNC. Same thing would be voting.
Another thing.
Whoever has the majority on the LNC will determine who else gets appointed if there's a vacancy. Yeah, so it makes a lot more sense to let the members have a say in who else is appointed.
Mm-hmm. Jake, you have exposed many people, or at least one person.
And you've been asked to expose your own
ads.
How do you
think?
That's correct.
That's the subscriber-only stream.
How do you how do you think vacancies should be dealt with? And I mean vacant pants, vacant asses. I don't know.
I'm not for sure. I do have a YubiKey as well. I actually am interested in that idea. I haven't really thought about that one before, of how they should be filled. It's not something that we have every term like this. I mean, there's always some vacancies, but not quite like this. I mean, it's entirely possible by the time we get to Grand Rapids, the committee is going to be almost entirely different from the one we elected in DC, just with all the turnover that there's been. I don't like the idea that we have put the power, if you will, in the hands of too few people. It allows, people that, have a podcast like us, right? Or are big on social media to have probably a little bit more influence within the party than maybe they should. And I think it's been a disaster for the party, that we need to have more people involved and get more input on these decisions that we make.
Right. So approval voting is interesting, right? Because it does allow putatively for less polarizing candidates to be elected. Just the person that the majority of people vote for. But as I discussed at the start, and then maybe others can articulate a little bit further, there is a way to game it, which is just, okay, well, we're going to vote for the two people that we like best, and then the other side's going to vote for the two people that they like best. But again, That issue is that swing block in the middle, which is ex-Mises, which can go either way. So at least to my mind, it doesn't look particularly strategic to just vote for the two people, if you're opposition, in the opposition block, if there's a chance of a very unpalatable candidate from your perspective of getting in with the approval of the ex-Mises and Mises blocks. If there's a Mises nominated candidate that is slightly more tolerable, that you don't think is going to win anyhow because they probably won't have the votes of that ex-Mises block, then it absolutely behooves you to vote for that more palatable and less likely to win Mises candidate. At least that's the strategy as I see it.
I totally agree. If we pretend that we are the four candidates and we're going from like most tolerable to least tolerable, it makes a lot of sense for no one to vote for Amanda to make sure she does not get in, and everyone to vote for me just in case.
Who's the most tolerable?
Well, if everyone's voting for me, it should be obvious.
But see, the idea would be that I'd be very not tolerable, but then there'd be a certain block that would vote for me, right? And then there would be that block. Yeah, I would be the 25%, and then there would be the block that would vote for you. But then there would be that middle block that could go
which is Rose.
either way, and therefore
because Jake is clearly coming with me.
Well, we also
I might abstain though, just to throw things into a little bit more chaos.
We also know that with Amanda in power, Kyle would quickly be edited out of photos. So
that's very true. Kyle would go to Gulag, where he would only be uploading our streams to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, which is what we were doing this afternoon. It takes a really long time to upload prior podcasts to a podcast stream, guys, but we're working on it. And I just want to let everyone know that when we open the Gulags, that's the first thing that you guys are going to be doing, because it takes forever and just completely menial labor. And if in the episode description you use any bad grammar or don't correctly articulate the thrust of the episode, it will not just be Gulag. It will be something much, much worse. And Rose is running away in fear at that prospect.
I was worried that we'd be forced to make memes the whole time. There's currently a lab of meme lords, so we need more memes made.
There is a meme gulag, right? But the first gulag to open is definitely going to be the podcast uploading gulag, and then following that.
And also,
Kyle,
I have the motion up. I'm just waiting for you to introduce the topic.
Okay.
We'll have a gulag for if you don't know how, for if you can't meme as well. So
exactly. Yeah, that not being able to meme will actually be a reason to be sent to the Gulag, just to let you know. Yeah, exactly. I believe in everyone's creative capacity being maximized to its full potential, and I believe that it should be maximized to the potential of making memes in the Gulag. What is this? All right, so there is a motion. Speaking of the LNC having quite a bit of power, Dana is exempt from the Gulag, at least in this respect, yes. It break tech and it hates me.
Okay.
There is, yes, go for it, Kyle. We're introducing a proposal that is going to be heard at the Sunday LNC meeting. I know that we told you that the LNC meeting was going to be tonight. That was because I foolishly listened to a member on the LNC who said that it would be tonight. So here we are.
So
go on, Kyle.
There's a motion to add the following language to the LNC Policy Manual, Section 1.07, Obligations among Board Members and Staff. 6, Direct Communication. There are other things that are interesting here, but the thing that we want to point out most heavily is right here. Communication with LNC Council. Only the LNC Chair and XD shall have free and direct contact with LNC Council. LNC members wishing to make an inquiry of Council shall seek permission from the LNC Chair. The LNC Chair shall serve as the intermediary between the inquiring LNC member and the LNC Council at their discretion. So the issue here, in case that's not apparent, is that the LNC Council serves all LNC members. We just saw a case where the LNC Chair would not have done due diligence properly with this, would not have allowed LNC members to go to Council, and would have absolutely been a problem here. So, from my perspective, from our perspective, this is a major failing. No one should have to, like, if we go back 6 months or 7 months now, no one should have had to have gone through Angela or through Hannah Kennedy, who was hired by Angela and thereby has a conflict of interest, which is a thing that Angela McCardle doesn't understand in the first place, to get to Oliver. This is insanity. And so I'm going to pull this back down, and everyone can go back to seeing our faces, but that's what's going on.
I thought we'd kind of learned not to centralize power because that got us into this mess in the first place. Like, have people not learned their lessons?
It's not centralizing power, Rose. It's just centralizing permission. So it's very, very different.
Okay,
yeah,
makes perfect sense.
Jake made a great point, and I forget exactly how you phrased it, but yes, if you suspect that the chair is embezzling money, then can you ask the chair to solicit counsel for the chair's possibly embezzling money?
Yeah, there needs to be exceptions. I get why you wouldn't want the LNC to run to every staff member and cause a lot of chaos, and that probably happened in the past. I'm sure it has. There are ways to do that without putting a blanket, policy manual or prohibition of that. There are certain circumstances where the board member should be able to talk directly to counsel, and whistleblowing would be one of them. And the fact that they have put this in there leads me to question if they've really learned their lesson after everything that's happened in the past 8 months.
Right. Liberty Centuries points out this motion was made by Mr. Travis Bost, who I understand to be aligned with the Mises Caucus.
Yeah.
And that would make more sense than the propensity for solidifying and concentrating centralizing power in that case. But no, Jake, you're correct that there are other ways to make sure that council doesn't get inundated with ridiculous lawfare requests. This does not seem to be the way forward.
Right. I think the fear of lawfare, I think that's used mostly as a scare tactic. I think there's a bigger risk that the threat of lawfare is going to be used to centralize power more than actual lawfare is going to be used. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
It seems like a ridiculous excuse. Anyway, go ahead, Jake.
Oh, yeah. The idea that you can't ever turn anything into counsel, that goes back to the idea, when Angela told Karen Ann Harlos, right, you will not overstep my authority or something like that.
You will not usurp the will of the LNC.
That's right.
It wasn't even the will of the party. It was the will of the LNC. My gosh.
Yeah. Under her control. And that you were not to do that. And that you were not to do your job by submitting the electors in Colorado, that you were to do what the chair says. And that seems to me what this motion would do, right? That the other board members are to serve the chair. And that's not the way the board of directors works. You have independent people with different functions, different titles, different positions. And they can't agree, they can't work together. And there will also be times where there are some differences of opinion. And that is a good thing on a functioning board. We have given too much power to the chair. And this is just another example of this centralized power that we want to put in the hands of one person. It's been a disaster when it's been tried. And now we've got a bunch of board members who can't think for themselves.
Which is, yes, a difficulty. Kyle, what say you?
John Morsey brought up a good point. Do we have to consider legal fees with everyone contacting, considering that the LNC is broke? So I have reached out to 3 different LNC members as quick as I could to see if they know. My understanding, so big ol' asterisk until this comes back, is that Oliver's on retainer and Oliver is there specifically to answer questions rather than actually being like a per usage fee. But I will check as quickly as I can.
That is my understanding as well. I served on the LNC when we did have counsel, and that was always my understanding. Now, we didn't have people just running to counsel for any specific thing, but we were certainly able to get in contact with them when we needed to.
As it stands now, there is already a fairly small recourse, slight recourse for LNC members if they, if they suspect that there's a problem. We learned this week, of course, that former Secretary Karen Ann Harlos is moving toward filing a complaint with, I believe, the Attorney General. Now, she says, and I imagine this would make sense, that the more people file a similar complaint regarding Angela McArdle's alleged embezzlement, the likelier it is to be taken seriously and potentially investigated. So this brings up the question, of course, libertarians don't love involving state authorities in private contracts, but is it worth a mass complaint campaign to the Attorney General and other officials to have this pursued if the LNC will not do the same?
I think it would make the most sense for the chair just to pick up the phone and do his job, but since he will not, this is certainly an option. Another option is the statute of limitations, from my understanding, in most of the jurisdictions that might be applicable to this would be 2 years from me finding it and informing the LNC.
That should be a question we ask anyone who's running for LNC.
Absolutely. And I can guarantee that whoever wins the LNC, or not guarantee, but pretty well guarantee, is going to have to take a position on this issue before Grand Rapids. I think that the delegates are going to demand that.
I hope.
Yeah, and what they decide to do is ultimately up to them. But I don't believe this LNC is going to do anything about it. Now, member complaints, certainly, if members feel like they have been robbed, they certainly can do that. I don't buy this whole thing that, oh, we've been robbed, we need to go to our attorneys and see if we can file a lawsuit. If you get robbed, that's one of the functions of the state that I think that many libertarians would agree with. I'm not an anarchist, so I think fraud is one thing that the state would be able to prosecute. And
Rosie,
no problem with that.
Their legal system does a terrible job, but they're kind of all we have. They have a monopoly on being able to prosecute this stuff. It would be better if we could just go to an independent contract negotiator and sue for breach of contract that way, because I think that this would get done a lot faster if you didn't have to go through the state and go through their ridiculously inefficient system. But it is what it is. We shouldn't be like those types of libertarians who are like, oh, so you're going to go to the state about this? Like, embezzlement and breach of contract is an act of aggression.
So that is my thing with this too. While we have the system where judicial conflicts are settled by the state, we have to work with that system when there's a judicial conflict. As such, the chair and the LNC as a whole are responsible. They have a responsibility to the membership to report if someone on the LNC has done something bad, or if the LNC has done something bad for some reason. None of us want to see the LNC get hit with fines. None of us want to see the LNC get blown up and the people on the LNC have problems. Those things are bad. However, if someone has done something bad and you don't do anything, the statute of limitations is long enough for like FEC violations and things that if we don't self-report, the fines, fees, and penalties could literally just destroy it entirely. And you can't file for bankruptcy from those. I was not necessarily saying that a criminal complaint had not been filed, for the record, Meredith. That was specifically on a potential FEC complaint.
If it has, that would be great. Is there any particular reason why that would not be disclosed to the members? Because again, like, a lot of people are very hesitant to renew their memberships or make donations until they can be sure that the money that they're donating is going to go where it's supposed to. So I think if the party, like, I don't understand why, in addition to appearing to be so hesitant to do anything, like, why they would be keeping this under wraps if they're actually going to go after the money and potentially try to recover damages and at least ensure this never happens again.
Right, right.
I could see not wanting Angela to know about things beforehand. I could see some other ways to talk about it.
But from what I understand, though, she did expect that she would likely have charges pressed. So I don't think it's really going to be a surprise.
I'm not a lawyer. Maybe there's something that Oliver has told people. Maybe the other legal folks on the LNC who know significantly more than I do about the law have told something. From my perspective, however, it seems shady. It seems it's a bummer.
And it is the sort of thing, and in your position, that the members should get involved in, or should, wait out?
The only way we regain the trust in the LNC is if there's an investigation into things and we show that there's no problems there. And if there are problems, they get fixed and we go forward. We've got to have that transparency. There's this huge, we're all libertarians. We all hate authority, right? It's even the minarchists, it's like, now I really don't want them to have any power over me. I just accept that there may be some amount of power that is required for society to exist. None of us are like, man, boy, howdy, do I love that there government. And so, the only way to assuage those fears is with a heavy, heavy level of transparency, is with this idea that we can, thank you, Rob. I'll give you a hug anytime.
No, you won't. Just stop. No hugging.
I'll give Rob hugs.
No hugging. We've already been through this.
Rob looks like he gives good hugs.
I don't care how good hugs he gives. This is
you
politics.
Probably don't give good hugs. You stab people.
Yeah, and it's been effective for me thus far in my life.
It's fair.
Yeah.
To get that trust back, we've got to open the book. We've got to let everyone see behind the curtain, and we've got to really go out of our way to show everyone that not only do the people running things care, but that they also are willing to show you, the things that they're doing, the things the party is doing. Does that mean that I want our political strategy out there for Democrats, Republicans, et cetera, to see? Of course I don't. But that's not the kind of transparency that's being talked about here. Nor, if I'm honest, do I believe there's a whole lot of that strategy going on right now. When we talk about the financial statements, the treasurer's report once a quarter and being able to pull the FEC documents and look at them and, everything else are a big deal. What we saw happen with Angela was a big deal because imagine this happening every time there's an embezzlement problem with any company. This happened to Georgia Tech while I was at Georgia Tech. Anytime these things happen, you're a laughingstock until you have shown that you have fixed those problems. And that's not a personal problem. That's a systemic issue that must be fixed with the structure of the LNC, with the structure of our books, with the way we're reporting to members and everything else. We have to be open.
It's also an opportunity for member agency as well, for members to make their voices heard. If we want this, we need to be prepared to walk the walk, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, at best, it's making it look like we're incompetent and we're not going to do anything if the money members donate just goes missing or is unaccounted for. At worst, it gives the impression that there's shady stuff going on with the people who are still running the party. Which I'm not making any accusations, but I'm just saying that's how it's appearing to a lot of the members, I think, or people who might want to join or might want to donate money.
Just saying.
We're talking about how we need to attract big money donors. Okay, that's not going to happen until we get our shit together and do something about the fact that a former chair embezzled tens of thousands of dollars.
Just saying that if you're not donating to the LP right now, and that money's still burning a hole in your pocket because you want to donate to LP causes, LPA can use those funds. I know at least one person on the LPA who's giving about $6,000 a year right now, and he would prefer to not be giving that much. So for every dollar you guys donate, That's one less dollar that I have to donate. Okay, so
In this economy, wow, that guy must be rich.
imagine if I had a job right now.
Rob,
You're lucky to have one of those right now too.
I don't have one right now.
Rob, every authority figure ever. All right, and this is true for us all, whether we know it or not. All right. Yes. So speaking of authority figures and authoritarians, are we ready to move on to El Salvador, one of our favorite places?
Goodness gracious.
So Nayib Bukele, who is in charge of El Salvador, we'll say it like that. They have recently put the kibosh on term limits for the presidency, making it legal to stay in power indefinitely. This comes from Reason Magazine. A lot of other outlets have picked up on this as well. So last week, 57-3 vote, less than an hour after they were introduced without debate or amendment. Sounds like the LNC. Bukele's party, of course, holds 54 of the 60 seats in the assembly, and allied parties are in charge of 3 more. So the vote was pretty much, ready to go through from the start. This is, of course, El Salvador, which also has the lovely prison where some of, they're not even all illegal. The immigrants have been sent in recent months. So yes, we now have a permanent state of exception in El Salvador, whereby people are able to be detained without trial. It should be noted that Bukele remains relatively popular in El Salvador. Used to have a very high crime rate, does not any longer. So, is this a worthy price to pay for cleaner streets? That was a Stossel question, but I mean, El Salvador is lower in crime now. Yeah.
Well, it definitely is.
At what cost?
I
right,
thought it was safer.
Now he's a better dictator than Donald Trump because he at least realized that you have to give the people something, right, before you try to run for an extra term. Trump's just like, I'm going to run for an extra term. I'm going to screw over your economy. I'm going to make things worse for you, and you're going to love it. You're going to vote for me for another term. Bukele at least knows that he had to make things better. The question is, could they have reduced crime by still protecting people's civil liberties? Of course they could have. That's not in the interest of a dictator, though, is it? They could have done all these good things without violating people's civil liberties. And people are thrown in, I think 80 people into, a single housing little unit in this detention center. It is a torture camp. People go in, they don't go out. There's no outside, you get a few videos that the state releases of it, and it looks like hell from that. We don't even know what condition it really is in. And furthermore, this is, the United States made an agreement with this specific dictator that he would house these prisoners. And then he turns around and trades those prisoners to Venezuela in a scheme that now we're a part of. Human trafficking, really. We are moving people back and forth across the world, sometimes in countries they never were born or have no connection to. We are now a part of this. We will prop up Bukele, and Trump has to be seeing this and is getting ideas for it. He's a cool dictator. His people like him. Why can't we do that here?
So basically, he thinks he just needs to give us cleaner streets. The worst part is, I feel like, for a while, I did feel like that would work. His hardcore fans would just vote for him for a third term. I think enough of the hardcore Trump supporters are angry enough about the Epstein files and a few other things, like the whole thing with the FEMA aid being withheld if your state was engaging in Israeli company boycotts. Like, I have seen a decent amount of criticism from people who I had thought were hardcore Trump supporters. So hopefully people have gotten the idea out of their heads that we should be pushing for a third term. But yeah, there's not much I wouldn't put past people who think that all they have to do is get the right people in office and that will fix their problems.
It's a smaller and smaller group, but people's, memories and attention spans are very brief. And the other thing is, there's a wide array of individuals who are not, who are not fans of what Donald Trump has done recently. However, there's not a whole lot of possibility of them allying as it is. So
right,
it's,
at least
sort of
not the other guy.
Exactly. And well, I don't want to give the other guys a chance of getting power, so I'm not even going to work with them marginally. I mean, this is the kind of thing that movements need to overcome, right? Because you do have to work with people that you're pretty sure would not work with you ultimately if things were to change, but you work with them as long as you can. So it's very interesting to see, especially because Bukele is the kind of person that Trump does visibly look up to what is happening in El Salvador.
Well, and there's a similar thing going on too in the United States, right? Where Trump is trying to get control over the judicial branch. That's exactly what happened in El Salvador. Install his own people in there as every low-level judge. At some point he went crazy in the first term. I'm surprised we didn't get Judge Reinhold or Judge Judy on the Supreme Court, but which they threatened.
Okay, I would support Judge Judy on the Supreme Court.
It's kind of funny, at least.
Yeah.
But if he gets control of the judicial branch, or they just step down and don't do anything, then Trump can do any damn thing he wants. And that's what's happened in El Salvador. And that's just a tale that goes throughout history, right? So there is that concern right now, and that Trump has to be watching what he does. And he also watches, Viktor Orban, big fan of Viktor Orban. He's a fan of some of the worst people in the world. He called Putin's invasion of Ukraine brilliant. So he watches all this and he gets ideas, and his people get ideas.
John Morrissey says polling shows J.D. Vance is becoming more popular. Yeah, because he's not doing anything. That's the thing with being vice president, is you can just wait it out. In nod turns, Steve Bannon may run in the primaries, splitting a MAGA vote. I mean, yeah.
People still like him? I thought he kind of disappeared.
Who knows? He does absolutely have a following. Again, true. It's one of those times where we got to move fast, right? So we need to get our act together with regard to the LP and the LNC. But it is actually remarkable when groups decide to act, they can move very, very quickly. And it's almost a cascade effect, right? Get our act together on the LNC, simultaneously be canvassing on issues, getting out there and making what libertarianism really is known. And that requires the bravery of the members and the action of the members, letting people know that there is this alternative and there are these alternative ideas. This, I don't even want to say it can be a moment anymore. It needs to be. It needs to be a moment. So you look.
Well, and MAGA realized that was going to be a problem. I'm sure they did right after the 2020 election, when Joe Jorgensen made the margin of difference in enough states to cost Trump the election. They thought that he cost Trump the election. Roger Stone, Rick Grenell, all of them hatched their plans, their evil plans, to come over here and infiltrate the Libertarian Party. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. They end up getting Angela McArdle to make this deal from hell with RFK Jr., and here we are.
That's the thing.
Not necessarily RFK
amazing.
Jr., but with Trump, and then it involves RFK Jr. and a scheme. It's crazy, and it neutered us. It neutered the Libertarian Party.
It's amazing that people didn't see that was what was happening, though. Like, people actually were naive enough to believe that we had this bargaining power and that we could make deals with politicians from the duopoly. Like, I'm sorry, but do they not understand how the game is actually played and just what type of leverage you need in order to get concessions? Okay. It was so obvious that we were being used from the beginning, and that they were going to immediately forget they were going to, maybe they'd pay us some lip service. They'd say they were going to do things, and that they were going to immediately forget us as soon as they got what they needed, which is what happened.
Well, and interestingly, this question was raised in a survey. So Paul Dar, current vice chair of the LNC, did send out a member survey. It wasn't a huge audience. I think it was just over 100 individuals responded.
Hey, that feels like it's half the active LP anymore.
That's true. That is true. But there was a member survey, slightly small sample size, some key questions that were asked here, and we're just going to go through them and we're going to talk about them. So Paul asked a variety of questions. First of all, you're a current member of the Libertarian Party. I'm interested in that 16.3%. I don't know if they're just not members of LP National or what.
Well, I mean, like our own Sarah Bella is not a member of National right now.
That is true. That is true.
She's only a member of LP in New Hampshire, and part of that is the bullshit going on with National.
Right. I know several people actually who are saying that they're not going to renew their national membership until the LNC gets its shit together. Now, I strongly discourage doing this because you'll end up losing your state delegates, and then it's going to become a vicious cycle where no one renews their membership because they want to they want to see the LNC get fixed, but then the LNC is not fixed because you lose the ability to come and help make positive changes. Like, I understand why they don't want to spend the money. I just think that it's misguided. But I'm saying though, I do encourage people to pay the minimum amount for now.
Right.
Until, yeah. Okay. Consider, like, if you want to spend more money, do it once things are headed in the right direction. But pay the $25 and renew your membership.
You're paying into the future of this party that we're rebuilding. You're an early investor. You're a first mover. It's $25. Do it.
This is 2025, also known as 1972. Everything is starting again, and everything is going to be great again.
All right, so yes or no, we'll strongly disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. The Libertarian Party should only support Libertarian Party candidates. Now, I took this to mean the Libertarian Party should support Libertarian Party candidates only, or only candidates that are in the Libertarian Party. Not that this is all that they should be doing, but yes, just over half strongly agreed with that. Agree?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Rose.
Oh, I was gonna say I have a nuanced position on that. So like I understand why it's just over half and why, yeah, there are so many different answers there.
Why would that be, Rose?
Well, I think there's a difference between selling out and supporting another party's candidate, thinking that you can get concessions out of them, and having a libertarian decide to run for a winnable local race and switch their voter registration to one of the major parties so that they have the better chance of winning. Like, there's a difference between libertarians running as Democrats or Republicans and trying to make deals with Republicans and Democrats. However, like, to avoid that, if that were going to be allowed, there would need to be some very clear guidelines in place, I think. Like, they would need, like, to prevent the kingmaker strategy from being attempted again, like, there would need to be some rules such as we will only allow another party's candidate to be endorsed if they were a member of their local or state affiliate party for X number of years, and then there would be certain criteria that they would be dropped if they made if they didn't stick to certain principles.
Similarly, the Libertarian Party should support some philosophically libertarian candidates that are not members of the Libertarian Party. What were the results for that, Kyle? Scroll down.
I refuse.
You're just
I did just want to point out on this one, there's only 22.2% of the people who responded are actively like, yes, we should support non-libertarian candidates.
All right, so there, again, pretty even split between, we have actually, yeah, it looks pretty even. Libertarian Party should support some philosophically libertarian candidates that are not members of the Libertarian Party. Yes, plurality say that they strongly disagree, but then 17.3% strongly agree.
And this is the problem, the fundamental problem with the Libertarian Party. It's the fundamental problem we've had for the past 20-some years. Libertarians, small L libertarians, should be free and are free to support whoever is the most libertarian, the best libertarian, the libertarian that they want, whatever. Doesn't matter. The Libertarian Party has a fiduciary duty. It exists to help Libertarian Party, not the Republican Liberty Caucus, not the Democratic Freedom Caucus, not some independent campaign somewhere. You know, when you take that leadership role in that party, Your job is to the organization. If you can't do that, be an activist. That's fine. But whenever we go do this, we set ourselves up for selling out. I mean, can you imagine the CEO of Pepsi going to moonlight for Coca-Cola on the weekends? They wouldn't allow it, right? They would fire their ass.
I mean, it's philosophically soda. It is philosophically soda.
And that is the problem the party has had for so long. You know, the party was foolish enough to think with their small resources in 2007, 2008 that they could actually help Ron Paul. The party doesn't have the resources to do this stuff. We end up just throwing it away instead of just helping the candidates that we've got. If other people want to do stuff in other organizations, the Republican Liberty Caucus, Democratic Freedom Caucus, whatever it is, I wish them the best. And I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong. But whenever you agree to be on the board of directors, when you agree that the party cannot go out of its way to support other parties, that's stupid. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's the death of any organization that would try something like that.
Well, and the thing too is, so I can see the nuance here. If you're thinking, you know, you have a war on multiple fronts, right? And in some respects, yes, you want to be able to get people who are Republican, who say that they're Republicans and are really libertarians and can subvert, people who say that they're Democrats and are really libertarians and can subvert. That sounds all great. At the same time, when you are running as a libertarian, you are not just running, you know, and marketing libertarianism, you're also marketing the party, right? Because the party does a lot. The party is what continues to market libertarianism. It's that, you know, it's that perpetual motion machine, right, that keeps on promoting libertarianism in myriad ways. So if you are rejecting the name of libertarian on the ballot, then you are not doing what you need to be doing, what it is your job to be doing as a candidate, which is also promoting the party, right? So philosophically libertarian candidates are great. We need to have more of them. But as the Libertarian Party, our duty is not just to getting people in office, it is to mass social change. And in that respect, the word libertarian and its definition are paramount.
Right. Like we should be, purpose of being involved in the party is that we want to be building up our image and making it so that going forward, libertarians, people running under the Libertarian Party actually can get elected at the local level. And that is, in my opinion, the purpose of having a presidential candidate or a Senate candidate. Like realistically, we know they're not going to win anytime in the near future, but they get us out there. They get our ideas out there on the national stage. And they help bring people to the party and make our ideas more popular. However, at the same time, like I'm also willing to be realistic. Like, I mean, I live in a state where we don't even have ballot access. So if someone who has been a longtime member of our party can get themselves into local office and make our lives slightly better, living in one of the least free states in the country, like, yeah, I'm not gonna say that that should never be done. Because again, yeah, we want to be using a variety of different tactics.
And I mean, until recently, I was one of those people who was saying, you know, that it was not feasible to have a libertarian elected into whatever office. These are crazy times now. I'm not saying that anymore, and I'm actively committing to working to bringing that to fruition. We do need that massive change, but you're absolutely correct that that cannot be the only thing that we are working on, or we won't achieve it. Kyle, would you like to move on?
Sure.
All right. Libertarian Party should support some candidates that are not members of the party if they sign a joint fundraising agreement with the Libertarian Party. That's never happened before. So we have 49% strongly disagree, 14.4% disagree. Then we have, I think, ones at 12.5 are neutral, 13.5% agree, 10%, or is it 10.6% strongly
10.6
agree. All right. So what does that tell us?
That we should have put a joint fundraising committee together with Hillary Clinton in 2016. So well vouched for her. Why not? Think of the money we could have raised. Missed opportunity right there, right? Or is it that we allow this only when we decide that it's makes sense to our caucus, you know?
Or yeah, for throwing a tantrum because our candidate didn't get the nomination.
Right.
Yeah, and the joint fundraising agreements as well. I mean, we don't get anything out of them, and then we are linked to the donors who contributed to that, those campaigns. Which, Jake, you've done some research, and I know that we've discussed it earlier. There are some donors, the Kennedy Victory Fund, that were not particularly palatable as far as libertarianism is concerned.
Like one of the ones that was an investor at Alligator Alcatraz?
Yeah, or the other one that makes a donation and then, gets on a board that Trump appoints. That's pretty interesting. The guy that makes a donation and gets a pardon from the president, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. And people making these donations after the election, because that just doesn't seem wrong at all. Doesn't seem like bribery to me, does it to you?
Not at all. Hector, I see, this is where you need to read some stuff, man. Because I have always been of the mind that we need to be getting Democrats in who are liberty-minded and Republicans in who are liberty-minded. That we need to have multiple strategies out there. But the Libertarian Party is for libertarians. Libertarian Action is for everyone. So I have always been a huge proponent of making sure that we get more liberty-minded Republicans and Democrats in office. And there are various ways to do that that don't involve compromising what we as a party are actually meant to do. Libertarian, oh, sorry, Kyle, if you had something to say about the JFC.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The JFC directly blocked Chase Oliver's funding. This is a thing that is well known. It's well understood. We've talked about it ad nauseum on here. We've shown the data from it before. We've talked to the Chase Oliver campaign and the FEC on it. There is plenty of freaking evidence that the JFC is potentially not legitimate. And if it turns out to be not legitimate, if Chase had joined in on it, like Angela suggested, he would be liable for it, as would his own team. That's not a risk that was going to be taken by someone who's an actual upstanding citizen. And that's why there aren't articles, in the Miami Herald about Chase Oliver, but there are about Hector Ruse.
All right, here was a fun one. The Libertarian Party membership pledge is outdated and holds back the party. All right, so 51% strongly disagree, 24% disagree, 14.1% are neutral, and then there are some slices that agree and strongly agree. The membership pledge is, I hereby, I certify that I oppose the use of force to achieve social or political goals. This was a pledge that was inserted in order to say to the state that we were not too radical. That is per David Nolan, in order to keep us from being perceived as terrorists. We're already perceived as terrorists. The intelligence agencies are increasingly concerned that so many libertarians identify as anarchists, and it's kind of funny because anarchists are remarkably peaceful individuals for the most part. But yes, so Libertarian Party membership pledge is outdated and holds back the party. This was also the subject of some discussion on X. I wrote a piece that I'm hoping people will respond to. It's quite short, and I did that for all of you. But this is indeed the subject of debate. We've discussed it on our Solidarity stream, so I'm interested to hear multiple people's thoughts in this respect.
We've talked about this in the Solidarity streams before. I personally think that the pledge in its current form suggests a level of inaction for people who are being encroached upon by authoritarians and tyrants. I believe that we have a moral responsibility to stand with our neighbors when our neighbors are being overrun by someone who is trying to destroy them for what are obviously illegal means. The neighbor in this case is more in the biblical sense of the word, not literally the person that lives beside you, but in all people, your brothers and sisters around the world. Obviously, we have to make sure that our country, quote unquote, survives, the land that we're on, the things that are here. I don't particularly care if it's this exact government and if we keep this exact name and things, but, our survival. And we have to keep pushing for that for everybody. Libertarianism is a global movement. It's always been a global movement. That's why the IALP started and why places all around the world followed in the footsteps of the LP once we were started in 1972. And it's because without banding together and fighting together for every spot on Earth where the tyranny rears its ugly head, we will never be free from it.
And again, so when this was discussed, I think there's a tendency to think, okay, well, we're arguing that that it's bad to even believe that non-aggression is a good thing, right? It's bad even to oppose these. That's not what anyone's saying, right? So when I've written on this, I've been clear that my intention is to uncover what actually supports the non-aggression principle and pledge, because that's going to be the even more fundamental cause that unites and motivates us all. You cannot have a runner that can't get started. You can't have an ideology that's built on a negative. So if you only oppose aggression for the purposes of opposing aggression, you're not opposing it for anything. And so you're not really opposing it. So my intention has been to get to that core so that we can actually better support that opposition to aggression, know what it's really for, and then motivate further action. The
right.
pledge, go for it.
That pledge has always bothered me because it's basically, they took one of our fundamental principles, the NAP, and they twisted it to basically neuter the party. Oh, we're perfectly peaceful. We don't believe in aggression, even when that aggression is, in theory, against people who are already aggressing against you. Like, the NAP has always allowed for self-defense. The whole point is that you don't initiate force against peaceful people. And it was such an obvious concession. It was an attempt to be like, we swear we're not a threat. We're perfectly peaceful. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, in case people haven't noticed, the establishment doesn't care how much you try to make yourselves look good to them. Okay, they're still going to blame you for their electoral losses. They're still going to label you extremists when it's convenient. It's just, the whole thing was stupid.
Which we even saw, we started really pushing the pledge super hard after Ruby Ridge in 92.
I thought it was after the Oklahoma City bombing.
It was both, yeah.
It was both, yeah. Where there's the people who claim to be anarchists who are standing, I mean, in some cases are anarchists, who are standing against the government and willing to lay down their lives for those causes. And somehow, instead of standing up and saying, you know what? The people who are defending their land against tyranny from the government may be in the right. We were like, please, daddy government, don't step on me. No step on Snack. I'm tired of being the Snack getting stepped on and think that we have to start standing up and yelling about this and screaming about this more.
And while self-defense is obviously, yes, a reason for action, one thing that I also wanted to touch on in the piece in the Torch is that self-defense is not a good impetus for collective action, because self-defense is always easy to rationalize in hindsight, right? So we can say that an aggressive activity was self-defense after it happens. In the moment, though, it is very difficult, especially today, because the state thrives on dividing us according to groups and classes, and then subjecting certain groups and certain classes to abuses at certain times, then not others. And then also thrives on being very, very invisible in terms of its encroachments on our liberties. So self-defense doesn't feel, it is very difficult to demonstrate that a threat is imminent and direct in this day and age. So it's very difficult to claim self-defense even when it is valid, right? Other defense is just as valid as self-defense. And they are equal in their virtue. They're linked in their pursuit, because the other is just as much an individual as the self, and we are individualists fundamentally. We believe in individual self-ownership.
All right. Now, here's the part where people are going to come from the woodwork to call us far leftist again, because I'm going to give my opinion on this one. Bigotry is irrational and repugnant. 50% strongly agree. This is exactly where the fuck I was on this, because I voted in this. And it's obvious. People all the time say that it's collectivist to say bigotry is repugnant. They're exactly backwards. When you have taken the time to judge all individuals by the actions of a group or them being part of a group wider, especially for things that they were born as, you are part of the collective. You have decided to collectivize the people. You've decided to go out of the way in the same Marxian bullshit that we actually saw collectivism come from, and saying that these people are a problem and that they shouldn't have the same rights as everyone else. Fuck you. Fuck your couch. You bring dishonor upon your family.
Right. And at the time, like when removing that plank was first proposed, like, okay, I could sort of see what the people who were, like, what the argument for removing it was. It was that, oh, well, it's not a well-defined term, so therefore anyone who wants to weaponize it can weaponize it against someone. They can say that they did something bigoted and therefore they should not be allowed to be in the party or run for an officer position. It just, I don't know. I remember being mostly against it because I'm like, the optics of trying to remove this are terrible. Like, we already have people trying to say that we're Nazis. We're just proving them right. Well, yeah, I mean,
Parn is exactly correct.
They definitely did prove the people who were saying that right. Like, I wasn't, yeah, I had very mixed feelings about that platform plank, because again, it was kind of vague. It didn't, like, and I actually do like the what it was replaced with. Granted, that was a compromise. Originally, it was just going to be deleted and replaced with nothing. I actually do like the rewrite. I think it's actually stronger in some ways. But I've also learned that you kind of do need counter signals like that. Otherwise you'll get certain types of people who think that they have a place in this party who we don't actually want to be associated with.
Yeah, and you have, as I've always said, you have the natural right to be a racist and bigoted ass. You absolutely have the right to do that. That doesn't mean that we have to associate with you. Right. I will defend your right to free speech and to say and do as you wish, even if it offends me, even if I don't like it. I will defend that right. And I hope that you will defend my rights. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't have to associate with you. And we can decide as an organization that we are not going to associate with David Duke. We can decide as an organization that we are not going to associate with neo-Nazis. Because ultimately they don't support the rights of everyone else. And we don't really just want, it doesn't benefit us to bring them in. It doesn't benefit the organization. Missouri, Libertarian Party of Missouri had an issue. The guy's name was Fraser Glenn Miller. Tried to run as a Republican, got his filing fee rejected. Tried to run as a Democrat, got his filing fee rejected. Tried to run as a Libertarian, got his filing fee rejected by each state party. Rejected the filing fee. This guy was a known bigot that was running anti-Semitic ads on radio, Missouri radio. The guy later on shoots people outside of a synagogue, I believe it was, years later. Thank God we didn't take his money and allow him to run as a candidate.
Right. I mean, yeah, you want to go have your little whites-only community off in the middle of nowhere where you only associate with one another, like, fine. I may not like you, but I will support your right to do that. However, it is not something we want to be associated with. It's not something we want to promote as a good way to run a community. Because, okay, what is the saying? Politics is downstream from culture. If you let a majority of your people hold certain ideas about others, like, what happens over time? If a significant number of people in your community think that people of a particular race are just inherently inferior and more likely to commit crimes, okay, you're going to devolve back into statism pretty soon. You're going to have people who want to say, well, if this particular group of people is that big of a problem, then clearly we do need rules excluding them from certain activities or keeping an extra eye on them, having certain restrictions on them. Yeah,
John,
like, the culture that you're promoting does matter. So there are certain ideas that we just don't want to gain a foothold in this movement, even if we technically support the rights of people to hold them, they can go hold them someplace else.
John of the Liberty Centuries makes an excellent point. Bigotry can exist in a libertarian society, but that does not mean it is libertarian. I know everyone's already read my piece on libertarian reactionism and the Libertarian Party, so I won't repeat all of it here.
2,000 pages.
It was not just a few theses on libertarian reactionism. But the issue is, right, that bigotry itself is a form of collectivism. It is not libertarian. Now, that does not mean that it can't exist in a libertarian society, right? Because we don't police thoughts. But we can absolutely say that that doesn't mean that it's libertarian, right?
Well,
there are a lot of things that
exactly.
can exist in a libertarian society that aren't necessarily libertarian, right? Libertarians also believe in the Second Amendment. Not everyone who believes in the Second Amendment is libertarian. You can believe in something, or rather, you can believe in a particular thing and not be a libertarian, essentially.
You know, another thing too that gets me is when the conservatives come into this party and say, "Oh, you guys have gone so woke, you've lost the foundation of your party." Our slogan we used to parade around was I've got buttons, pro-choice on everything buttons. And they want to come in and say, "Oh, you've just lost it. You used to be conservative. You used to." No, the party never was. This bigotry plank has been in there since the 70s. The planks on immigration have been in there since the 70s. We used to go around saying that we were pro-choice on everything. Now, some of the members, there's always been a contention over the abortion issue, and I get that. But that was what the party said back in the day. And this idea that somehow it was recently hijacked or anything like that. Now, it did change. It did change more towards pragmatism, which I'm not a fan of. But it didn't change in the way they think that it did.
Mm-hmm.
So Hector actually brought up a good point, and he made a good point despite the fact that he doesn't realize that here. And that point is that, yep, only the government classifies people into race.
Yeah, it's a meaningless term, really.
Well, so for those who don't know the history of the concept of race, it is very modern. You're talking the end of the 18th century. You're talking literally about the same period the United States has existed. And this came as a way to bolster white supremacy and eugenics concepts. It's part of the big problem with the way the U.S. was founded, and the part where only white men were given the top privileges and everything else. It's the reason that the U.S. Census exists. The U.S. Census categorized everyone into white or not white, and they specifically called not white black. So one of the most damning things about showing that this was purely racism, that the entire idea of race from the governments around the world's perspective is Indians in the United States. And I don't mean Native Americans, I mean actual from India Indians. Indians have been both white and black on the census, depending on the relations we were having with the country at the time. This is brutal. If you're using race as a way to talk about averages because of the differences in blood and those kinds of things, because your ancestors were specifically in this part of the world for a long time, so you're talking about how Asians have the monolid instead of the bilid like Caucasians tend to have, and you're talking about how a nose might be shorter because of winter conditions, those sorts of things. Fine, that's reasonable. As soon as you take those scientific accuracies and you apply them to a person to say something that, things that we've seen Donald Trump say, that the immigrants come to the United States who are escaping Mexico and Central America and everything else. I say escaping Mexico. Most of them are not actually from Mexico. And you have applied that to the individuals who are trying to do something for a better life, the people who are trying to get ahead. You're a monster. You are a collectivist asshole. And I say that personally as myself. This is not a LPA calling you a monster thing, although I think that a great many people in LPA would agree with me on it. And it's because of the fact that we're not collectivists. We don't believe that you can collectivize people based on any innate trait, such as the color of their skin or which genitals they have or any other thing. You have the right to live your life as you see fit, doing what you believe in, And it's no one else's business to tell you otherwise, unless you are attempting to push your beliefs onto them or take their freedoms away. And it is not their freedom to tell you how to live. And God damn it, I'm going to fight for that forever. As Amanda rolls her eyes and staring off in the distance because I've talked too long.
No, it's really, really moving. Yeah. Was there another question below this?
There is.
I enjoy writing on Kyle. Celebrities that join the Libertarian Party should not influence the policy of the party more than regular members. Should not. 45.2% strongly agree. The rest of you can't read. So, I mean, there was a negative there. Do you agree that they should not? Yeah. It is. Anytime you have a celebrity that's recruited into the party, right? Or that you want to recruit to the party, you got to think about a few things, right? So first you have to think about, well, how does the party appeal to that celebrity? The party has to really target its messaging to make it attractive to that particular individual, right? So you're already alienating a huge group of people on the gamble that maybe there'll be a podcaster who gets brought in. The other issue is that podcaster might not themselves really be libertarian, and you're basically curating the party and its mores to draw in that person. So you're turning the party into what the celebrity wants rather than trying to convert the celebrity, as it were. You're also banking on the fact that the celebrity is going to bring their fan base in, but even their fans are very individual. Right? So their fans aren't all going to be attracted to the same things, even if that individual does broadcast libertarianism, which is never a given. They're probably going to continue to broadcast their own ideas. And then the fans are either going to take it or leave it, might not even link it to libertarianism. And then if that celebrity does bring in fans who might not be aligned with libertarianism, you get even more of a problem. Also, the thing with celebrities a lot of times is that they like to be the ones who are calling the shots, right? Uh-huh. So they like to be the most important person in the room and will not take kindly to processes that try and empower all members and give them that equal.
Right. I've been warning about this. Like the people who are saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if we could get Elon Musk interested?" Okay, yeah, sounds great. He has tons of money to give, but that money is going to have strings attached to it. Okay, he'll give us money on the grounds that we modify our platform and message to make it benefit him. Okay, this is how you get watering down of your message. Okay, have people not learned anything from the Coctopus? Like, this is why big money donors are both a blessing and a curse. Okay, yeah, they allow you to have your conventions at nice hotels, and they allow you to do things. They allow you to fund your affiliates' ballot access fights or petitioning drives. But at the same time, they also jeopardize your principles because it's very hard to take money from some huge donor and not have to sell out to a certain extent if you want to keep that money coming.
Right.
We also run into the risk of that podcaster might tell somebody they shouldn't run for governor of Florida, that they might want to drop out of a race in Arizona. And Hector, thank you for running against Ron DeSantis, even though people discourage you from doing it. That's one of the things that happens where we get these celebrities that say, please don't run against DeSantis. He's good on COVID, even though he wasn't. Or please drop out of this race in Arizona. That way we can support the guy that we want, even though he's not libertarian. Please don't run anyone against, Kim Reynolds in Iowa or Kristi Noem in South Dakota because they were good on one issue that I like. And the celebrities start to influence policy in a way that's not necessarily monetarily, but they're influencing where we run candidates at, who they ask to drop out, and that is not good for the organization because they've a lot of times got alliances with people in other parties, and their alliances do not align well with libertarianism.
Mm-hmm. Similar to the next question, Libertarian Party should work to attract people like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Tulsi Gabbard to the party. Very, very similar answers, I think. Although different breakdown of responses because it's phrased differently. People reading comprehension.
We jumped the gun there and answered already.
Yeah,
I think that I actually answered these two differently. Because on this one, I strongly disagree. Oh, I'm sorry. I strongly agree. Yes, strongly agree. But if we work to attract those kinds of people by being like by our policies rather than reaching out to them individually, I'm for that.
Yeah.
If Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Tulsi Gabbard are all like, "Oh shit, I shouldn't be an authoritarian cunt," and they decide to become libertarians, I'm for this. But I
Take
only
some
support it.
convincing, but
Right.
yeah.
I only support it through better messaging, etc., and not by like, "Please, Daddy, give me dollars so that you can tell me how to run my party better."
I think I still said disagree
Right.
because of the optics of Elon Musk being attracted to the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, unless he would need to do some things to show that he actually meant it, and it would take a lot to convince me that he actually meant it, because I think that people at best are being extremely naive if they think that he's libertarian aligned. I think he is a wannabe technocrat dictator. He just doesn't currently have the ability to become that, but he would gladly do that if he had the ability. So I don't believe that he's actually libertarian. And if he did join, I don't think it would be, if he joined our party, I don't think it would be for the right reasons.
As a really quick aside, I did confirm with all three of the LNC members that I poked about it. Oliver is under contracted hours that we pay for, which means that it does not change anything for his pay for LNC members to reach out. So, is there any other point here before we move on to the next one?
I've got one.
Quickly.
Yeah, I've got one real quick one that we also look really desperate whenever we start begging these celebrities to please join us. Oh, please have us on. Please have us on. Please join us. Justin Amash, this, Justin Amash, that. Justin Amash is going to save the party. The pragmatists, and I'm sorry if this offends anyone, the pragmatists put all their political capital in Justin Amash, and it didn't pan out. Look what happened to them. I feel like that's what they did. And people still, Justin Amash needs to become chair. If I have to hear Justin Amash anymore, it's great if he does something, but let him make his own decision.
See, this is where Kyle and I disagree, because again, it's a strategic maneuver to have Justin Amash as chair. But I'm willing to fight with you on this. So I understand the distaste for like the one person that's going to save the party, right? I don't like that at all.
Ask him to do it, but it's just that constant begging and please, Justin Amash, and we'll do a puja to you and we'll worship you and everything else, and it just goes way too far. And we did the same thing with Thomas Massey, Ron Paul. And it just makes us look pathetic. It's not that you can't be nice and welcome people into the party, but that's probably one of the reasons why half these people don't join. Is they're like, my God, these people are just pathetic. These losers.
I support removing other libertarians from the party, either for ideological purity or to remove opponents. How about you guys?
Rob, clip that.
He will too.
When I am chair, we are going to remove at least 100 delegates from the convention. I am going to sit up there smoking a Cohiba cigar.
I hope I'm on that list.
Drinking a whiskey sour and removing these members. I'm going to call them out and have them escorted out of the convention. So I'm absolutely in favor.
Beautiful. I really want to see Jake like smoking a Cohiba and drinking.
Yeah, but you can only smoke it after you've gotten the delegates escorted out. Like as they're being led away in handcuffs, you're just sitting there. Yeah.
It's so what we're saying here is that while there will be an LPA hospitality suite next year, there will also be at some point an LPA drinks whiskey and smokes cigars point.
There will be an LPA gulag, is what we're saying.
Well, the suite will have a bar, won't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes, as long as the hotel allows it, since some hotels are weird about that shit, but probably fine.
All right.
LPF kind of had the problem where shit was weird for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to remove people because of ideological purity. I want our ideological purity to remove people who don't want to be part of it.
And in all seriousness, I agree 100% with Kyle. I don't like to do the purity tests or anything like that. I think it just doesn't work. And then when we get to argue over who's more pure, I think that once we set a pure foundation, it will kind of sort itself out.
I have mixed feelings about it because, like, in theory, yes, I don't necessarily oppose the idea of gatekeeping. Like, someone who just heard of us knows absolutely nothing about what libertarianism is. they like maybe one or two things we've said, and then they join and start introducing ideas that are completely at odds with our philosophy. Like, I understand like the impulse to say, oh, well, you shouldn't be allowed to join. I think that like seasoning requirements are probably the way to prevent that. Okay, they can join and they can either learn or they can eventually conclude it's not for them and leave, but they just can't run for an officer position in either the national party or their state party, which a lot of state parties already have seasoning requirements for that reason. But
I support
yeah,
quietly shutting out my opponents. I do not support removing because it's bad optics, but
Just make them
quietly making
feel-
sure they have no power, absolutely.
make them feel unwelcome and they'll leave on their own, basically, is what I'm saying. And yeah, but so having an actual rule that allowed for removal over ideological reasons, that's way too open to abuse, because whoever has the majority, whichever
What?
faction of the party is the majority can say, oh, well, these guys are communists, we have to remove them. Oh, these guys are fascists, we have to remove them. Like that, yeah. It would be a constant battle to remove the other half of the party. Like that there's no way I think that would actually go well.
We have clean slate, we disaffiliate. All of you start again. It's fine. Go on, Kyle, go for it.
I support the Libertarian Party pursuing legal action for damages, even in cases where the likelihood of compensation is low. I know for a fact that's wrong, Hector, because I weigh like twice what she does. So I'm much, much, much greater than Amanda.
In terms of sheer
Kilograms.
libertarian power,
He's trying to set us at odds with each other, isn't he? He wants us fighting.
trying to sow division.
It's funny because Amanda and I fight all the fucking time.
Right. It's not even, if you know anything about the dynamic between these two, it is not necessary to try to stoke division between them.
We have
okay?
our own division. It's fine. It's great. Kyle just sucks. He's terrible, and I just indulge him because he promises me things. Like
until we can remove him. We're stuck with him.
Yeah.
Which is another reason to donate to LPA, because as soon as I'm not useful for money, I'm gone. They know it. I know it. Absolutely. I know what I'm here for.
Where have you sent your life insurance? Where is it going, Kyle? Just out of curiosity, is it going to the LPA?
As I explained to someone recently, my life insurance always goes to whoever I'm living with, and currently that's only my wife.
Just wait until we get the LPA apartment, though, and then we drag him there. Okay, I support the Libertarian Party pursuing legal action for damages, even in cases where the likelihood of compensation is low. What do people think?
I think this question
very
is
split. Very split there. Look at that.
I think this question is very clearly colored by Angela McArdle. And like, I don't like talking about Angela. I think that she's irrelevant.
She does a great job of coloring in the lines. Look at that.
But from my perspective, again, we believe heavily in contracts. Even the minarchists believe that the government should be there for that point. The anarchists, you have to donate a lot, Hector, because I'm doing $6,000 a year. The anarchists still believe in some kind of judiciary settlement. It's just not through the government. It's a voluntary one instead. That's not a thing that's about how much we can make from it. I think that right now, and like Rob brings up a good point here. I understand where Rob's coming from, but I'm literally making the point against this one. From a direct ROI standpoint, we will never get our money back from Angela McArdle, even if we get her in court. It's that simple. The cost to go get her would be too high. However, the cost of saying that we will go after even the libertarians who want to take your freedom away, steal from you, or do other things, is the biggest messaging win possible. We can literally say that it doesn't matter if you, on the surface, ideologically agree with us. At the moment where you destroy the actual ideology, the moment where you actually stand against the people, the moment where you become an authoritarian, we don't care who you are or what you've done or anything else. You will be stopped, and like there will be no tyranny of any kind.
Best way to market our ideas is through individuals of all sorts. So like what we know it's worked so far, but we haven't tried everything that could work. and based on what other movements have done, there are a lot of other things that could work better than that on Hector's point.
Well, I would like to know how much Hector is willing to donate if we stop letting Kyle on these streams.
Look,
How much are we talking
Me
here?
too.
How
Hector,
much? Yeah, how much is he worth?
You donate to me personally, we'll talk about it, okay? I'll do a Liberty pledge with you. Let's put it that way. So, Rose, what's
Get
up?
him to sign our LPA pledge.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll agree. Okay. We're part of our negotiations. Kyle no longer hosts these streams. But what will you give us? Will you stop making
Hector, but-
stupid claims in our chat during our streams?
In a decentralized era where we want a decentralized revolution, everyone needs to be able to be the messenger and needs to be empowered to be the messenger and desirous of being the messenger. We can cultivate that, but it's going to take restructuring. Anyway. Was that the last question?
I think this is the last actual thing.
Are you now, or have you ever been a member of aligned with any of the following libertarian caucuses or organizations? Why is caucus capitalized?
Because it is. You're
Wow.
right.
The Mises Caucus still has a lot of people saying yes to that.
Well, remember, these are the people that specifically responded on this thing that Paul shared. So
Right,
I would
so-
guess that the biggest two groups are the "We really love Paul" group and the "We really hate Paul" group.
Oh yeah, I'm sure this went around in their circles and
Right.
and the people were encouraged to respond to create the impression that people are, yes. Oh yeah, we still love the Mises Caucus. We still want to be involved.
Right.
But yeah.
It's as someone who's in both the CLC and Radical Caucus discords, the idea that the ratio is 26 to 24 is a little silly. But you know, that's kind of, in my opinion, a great way to show the asterisks and salt for it. We're actually working on crosstabs, Hector. The data has been given over to one of the data analysts with the LP who is breaking it out into crosstabs for that reason.
Right. And I agree with the comment saying that we should be talking about how our ideas are going to help people in the real world. Like that, originally that was why a lot of us joined the Mises Caucus, because they were the ones saying that they were going to try to apply, take our ideas and apply them to real world solutions. They were going to focus on economic literacy and being anti-imperialist. But I think that is something that state and local affiliate parties should be focused on, taking our ideas and applying them to the real world. For example, my county affiliate, like we do these regular seminars. We did one on how to secure your privacy online, how to invest in Bitcoin. The most recent one was on things like 3D printing. Like the LPNY has a podcast where we take libertarian ideas and apply them to things that are currently going on within New York State. Like there are ways to do this, and I do encourage people to do these things because that is what our party should be for.
I agree. I would love to stay and talk to everybody forever, but we do have a meeting that started 8 minutes ago that all four of us are supposed to be at, and several of the people from the chat are usually at. So
I've been taking notes. You all are late, so you will be sent to Gulag. Sunday.
Man is also being sent to Gulag.
No, because I'm the one who's taking notes. Sunday, there is an LNC meeting. We will be broadcasting it with our comments and yours, so please join us for that stream. We have our regular Solidarity stream next Wednesday as well, and the business list on Thursday. Until then, we are the business list. We're gonna say anarchy. And we're gonna say anarchy. Full transparency. Now I wanna say
on the business list. Destroy!